I have a low risk guaranteed plan that will help America overcome capitalism once and for all. It is a plan that will redistribute the wealth from the ultra wealthy, the elite 1% who control like 70% of our wealth, and pass it back down to the people. It's a guaranteed fail proof plan that will work, but I can also guarantee you will never do it. Now, before I do that, I want to prove to you that capitalism is not a system, okay? If I were to destroy all corporations right now, if I would destroy all corporations, all billionaires, right? All the private owners of the means of production, if I could snap my fingers and get rid of them, would that get rid of capitalism? If I could snap my fingers and get rid of all corporations, all billionaires like that, is that going to end capitalism? Or is another group of people going to rise to seize control of those means of production and then reinstitute capitalism? What is the point that I'm trying to make? Capitalism is not a system that exists outside of humanity. Likewise, if I could snap my fingers and get rid of all humans, that would get rid of capitalism. Capitalism is not in society, right? Capitalism is not in nature, right? Without humanity, there is no capitalism. Without humanity, there is no idea of socialism or communism or any of these things. These systems do not exist outside of you. And so when people start talking about capitalism, what they're really talking about is the unconscious way in which they engage with humanity. It is that they believe that one of the main purposes of humanity is production, and that who controls the means of production is important because one of the main, the core of what it means to be human is to produce. So what is this foolproof, fail-safe plan that is low risk and will guarantee liberation for Americans? Where it's something that I've been pushing for months now, almost a year. And it's something called the subscription liberation. It's an idea where if 100 million Americans gave $1 a month, that would be $100 million a month or $1.2 billion a year. Well, where do you give it to? You would give it to us in the pro-human party, right? And in the pro-human movement, we would then use that money to effectively, take money out. You're taking $1.2 billion out of the capitalistic system, and we are going to essentially use that money to create a society that is not dependent upon money. Now, you may say, that's not possible, and that's my point. Is if I make the barrier of entry as low as I can, $1, nobody would miss a meal, nobody would miss a bill, and it is enough money to change American life by sheer force of will. No matter how low I make the barrier, if it's $1, people aren't going to do it. Because capitalism is not a system that exists outside of humanity. When Americans who claim to be on the left, or Americans who claim to be Marxists or Stalinists or Leninists, when they are critiquing capitalism, they are really critiquing themselves. They are really critiquing the way that they view money and how they use money. And what they are doing is they are placing the responsibility and the blame and the reason why they spend money the way that they do, the way that they earn money, the way that they do, right? They're putting it on somebody else. Because how can capitalism exist if no one agrees to capitalism? See, people want you to believe that these elites are super smart, super intelligent, and they just know all these systems and no. And every single day, people ignore reality for that narrative. People ignore reality for this narrative of that, the system is what controls us. No, it's not what's control you. Your lack of discipline, your lack of courage, your lack of character, your unwillingness to put humanity at the center of American life. At the center of American life is production. human producing shit. Not humans living, but humans producing things. Why are we producing things? I'm not saying that people aren't going to be productive. People are going to be productive. That's not what I'm talking about. But why is that the core of what it means to be human? Why does every single human who exists, why should they care about production? I take it back to my nonverbal autistic daughter. When I found out that my nonverbal autistic daughter was being subjected to cruel and unusual punishment and solitary confinement over 600 times by her special education teacher, you know what I did? I wrote a 106-page complaint suing the school district for $564 million. And the only reason why it was $564 million is because I was too pussy to put $1.2 billion. Why? Because how do you put value on a human life? How do you put a monetary value on a human's life, on a human's dignity, who doesn't understand the concept of money? When Marx, when all these guys came up with their economic systems, you know who they weren't thinking about? Nonverbal autistic people. People who don't care about money, people who don't care about race, people who these concepts, they don't register in their head. When people talk about these systems of capitalism, these systems, all they're doing is talking about the unconscious way in which humans behave in a certain place. And so when I get on here and I talk about, hey, this is a plan that could save us, it's not palatable to the Americans. $1 a month, it's not palatable. But if I was Netflix, or if I was Hulu, or if I was Spotify, and I said I got this great catalog of all these different movies and all these different shows, this production, all these different productions, you'll be like, man, that is a great value. You mean I get a library of 1,000 different movies for $15, $20, $7 a month? Americans will run to it. But if you go, hey guys, our country is ran by the ultra elite. The wealth distribution in this country is worse than it was at the Gilded Age. Layoffs are at the highest they've been since the pandemic, and they're headed towards the Great Depression. Hey guys, let's put our money together. Let's take our money out of the system. That message doesn't resonate with Americans. Why not? Why doesn't that message resonate with Americans? Why must Americans be treated like consumers? Why do your revolutionaries have to become content creators? Why do your revolutionaries have to become salesmen? Why can't people just stand for their beliefs and get support from the Americans? There's a reason why King hasn't come. You haven't gotten another King. There's a reason why you haven't gotten another Hampton. And they want you to believe that it's the system. No, it's you, the person watching this video. It's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's not about blame. That's not what it's about. It's about responsibility to your community, responsibility to your nation, and having a civic duty as an American. We talk about individual rights. What about civic duty? This country is not going to get another revolutionary. This country is not going to get another Jesus Christ. You're not going to get it. And the reason why you're not going to get it is not because of capitalism. It's because you lack the character to stand up. You are in an abusive relationship with billion-dollar companies. You are in an abusive relationship with your government, and you will not set boundaries, even if I make that boundary as small as possible. 4 quarters a week, less than 4 cents a day. Americans won't do it. It has nothing to do with capitalism. It has to do with the fact that at the core of all of American life is the worship of money. And so everybody, who's got the means of production? Who controls how I make money? Why is money so important to you? You guys want a society where healthcare is free. You guys want a society where we shouldn't have to pay for housing. You guys want a society where we shouldn't have to pay for these things, but you still worship money. As long as you worship money, these things will always cost because you don't have what it takes to put your foot down and go, I'm not doing that. I'm not paying for that. I know what everybody else is doing. I know what the advertisers are doing. I know, but I'm standing firm and saying no. I'm putting my money elsewhere. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to worship money. Money is not going to be the most important thing in my life. I will not allow the way that everybody else lives. See, that's the system. The system is the way everybody else lives and how it influences you. That's the system. It's not the billionaires. When I first found out about my nonverbal autistic child getting abused August 31st, 2023, you know what I did? I started a GoFundMe. You know how much money we've raised? Less than $3,000. You can go on GoFundMe right now. GoFundMe.com/Mercy for Maya. I have over 1,000 videos on TikTok. Many videos on here. Asking for help, asking for support for my daughter. But you know what? That doesn't resonate with Americans as much as I was if I was selling you NordVPN. If I was selling you NordVPN, I could get some money for my family. If I turn myself into a salesman, if I turn myself into a product, Americans will consume me. So no, you will not get another revolutionary. You will not get a savior because at the end of the day, you are a consumer. You are looking for something to consume. You are looking for something to entertain you. You are looking for something that feeds your ego. And that's what Marxism, that's what leftism does in the United States. It feeds the ego of people who are too weak to stand up to the system. We are one of the first if not the first generation in American history that were unwilling to stand up to our government. Every other generation before us was able to have radical leaders. But people keep blaming the system. The system is nothing more than the unconscious way that all the individual selves are living and how it impacts you. You don't have what it takes to go against the crowd. You're not strong enough. Your character is not developed enough. You haven't made the decision to go up against the crowd. So it's capitalism. It's the billionaires. It's Elon Musk. Yes, guys, they're liars. Yes, guys, they're fraudsters. Yes, guys, they're criminals. They're never going to stop doing it. That doesn't make logical sense. It does not make logical sense for a fraudster to just on his goodwill to stop committing fraud. It doesn't make logical sense for a criminal to just stop committing crimes, especially if you put him in charge of the branch of government responsible for enforcing the law. What you are hoping for, what you are wishing for is irrational. If you want a country of truth, you got to stand for truth. If you want a country that is not worshiping money, you have to stop worshiping money. And you have to living in that way. And you have to start gathering and supporting the people who are going to give you the faith, give you the vision, and give you the dream. And one of the other issues is our extremely big ego. We all think we're right. Me too. I'm an American. The difference is between me and other people who get on here and fearmonger you for views, who fearmonger you during a constitutional crisis, who every day called Trump the fascist, but never picked up their weapon. Every single day, they tell you, oh, the country's spiraling, the Supreme Court's doing this, but at no point do they ever tell you to defend yourself. At no point do they ever tell you to take up arms. They fearmonger you every single day on the left and on the right, but they never empower you. You know why? Because they need your clicks. They need your likes. They need your comments. They need your engagement. I say it all the time. There is no left in America. There are just capitalists who make money off left-wing content. Your favorite leftist is not going to risk their YouTube channel. They're not going to risk their TikTok. They're not going to risk their Instagram. They're not going to risk that stuff. They're not going to do things to upset the people who oppress you. So you will never get your revolution. You will never get this utopian vision because, one, you won't be that person, and two, you won't support people who are. The difference between me and everybody else, I'm ready to go life for life with anybody. I did. I sued. I wrote it myself because I couldn't afford a lawyer. Because I don't just go, well, I can't afford a lawyer. That's just the system. Fuck the system. I'm Gabe the Great. You don't do that to my daughter. I will write it myself. And if you dismiss it, I will appeal it to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. And if they dismiss it, I will appeal it to the United States Supreme Court. My issue is not the system, the government. I know what the government is. I know who they are. The issue is I have to go out into a people who tells themselves that they are anti-capitalist and tells themselves that it's the billionaires and it's the racists and it's this and it's that. Well, what have you done? What have you done? I'm ready to go life for life with anybody watching this video. That's why I talk like that. I have tens of thousands of dollars put into the liberation of not just my daughter, but people like my daughter. I get on here and I talk about school shootings all the time. Why? Because we are the only group of people on planet Earth that has a school shooting problem. We worship money so fucking much. Our children can't go to school. What are we talking about right now? What are we talking about? On the night Donald Trump was elected, he explicitly said they rigged the election for him. Go look it up. And then he did it 3 months later in the Oval Office. He explicitly said it. Go look it up. What are we talking about? The issue is not Trump's a criminal. The issue is you don't have politicians who will stand up. And those of us who are ready to stand up, we can't get support from the people. So Americans need to hurt more. And so 2026, a lot more people are going to lose jobs. A lot more people are going to be deported. A lot more people are going to lose their lives. But that's necessary to get you guys to stop worshiping money. Because in America, as long as you're doing good, you don't take up arms. As long as your family's doing good, as long as the trouble hasn't come to your front doorstep, you're not going to resist. You're not going to fight back. You're not going to put any skin in the game. So your idol is going to be smashed in 2026. Your worship of money is going to be smashed. And that's what people think. People think only wealthy people are greedy. Greed has nothing to do with the material world, with what you materially have. Poor people can be greedy. Homeless people can be greedy. Greed is not limited to those who have an abundance. All Americans are greedy. I can't get Americans to come off $1 a month because it doesn't feed their ego. And it's like, oh, what if that guy gets a lot of money? What if he has a lot of money and I don't? It's not about that. It's about putting your money where your mouth is. It's about helping those and supporting those who stand up. We're in this situation because the white supremacists believe more in collective action than anybody who's not a white supremacist in America. The white supremacists believe more in collective action than the black people, than the poor people, than the leftists, than the Marxists, than the Democrats, than the progressive. When racist white people want to get stuff done, they fund their people. They support their people. Who are you supporting? Who are you funneling your money towards? What organization? Or are you just hoarding your money yourself so that you and your family could be good? As I say always, Donald Trump is not an issue. Donald Trump is not a problem. Here's a reflection. This system of capitalism doesn't live outside of you. Let's get into the manifesto today. I'm already 20 minutes in. I try not to go too long, but I believe some of this is important. In the money section, page 63. Money is not evil, but our worship of it is. In a society where most people have lost faith in anything greater than themselves, money has become the most worshiped God. It dictates where we live, how we're treated, what we're worth, and who gets to be heard. It has no intrinsic value, just paper, pixels, and metals. But we've built entire systems to convince ourselves that whoever has the most of it must be the smartest, strongest, and most capable among us. That is the lie. Money, a medium through which we're supposed to exchange goods and services with, has become the measuring stick of meaning. And yet, the people who hoard the most of it, who bend policy and power towards accumulating more of it, are often the ones who suffer the most profound existential poverty. Because the truth is, if you need billions of dollars to feel significant, you are already spiritually bankrupt. Our current system treats money as a proxy for worth. We reward hoarding over healing, status over service, accumulation over actualization, and worst of all, we've structured society so that access to money determines access to justice, education, healthcare, and opportunity, which means we've locked humanity's most basic needs behind a paywall and then dared to call it freedom. That's not freedom, that's enslavement. This is a very unique American problem, guys. When the people of Nepal found out one time that the politicians were taking their money and giving it to their children, they overthrew that government in less than a week. France has been rioting against their politicians forever. This is a very unique American problem because in America, rich or poor, you worship money. So if I look like money, y'all will give me money. If I stroke your ego, if I make you feel better, I don't actually have to make you be better, right? I can be Netflix. I can just throw a bunch of junk up there. I can do an ad read through every single one of my videos. That's why all your content creators have nothing become salesmen. They become ads. Every YouTuber you watch is an ad for some other product. And they want me to believe that has to do with the means of production. No, that just has to do with the people who will sell themselves for a price. You will sell yourself for a price. There are things that you say you won't do, but if somebody gives you enough money, and here's the key, you don't get people to do something super evil. No. You get them to compromise on their convictions a little bit. Get them to compromise a little bit. You get them to do these ad reads and these YouTube videos, right? So now you need your YouTube video to stay up, because if your YouTube video doesn't stay up, then depending on who that advertiser is, even if you did the ad read, you might not get paid. And if you want to get paid more in the future, if you want a stable income, because that's important in America, you got to have a stable income. Why? Why should humans live like that? We created money. Why are we bending the knee to something we created? Does that make sense? That makes sense to y'all? To have an entire society structured? Well, there's nothing we can do. $1 a month. That's 100 million people at $1 a month, or $5 a month, or $10 a month. You still coming in under Netflix, which is $18 a month for no ads. Americans on average are spending $90 per month on subscription services. Do the math, guys. If Americans took their money out of the subscription services, if 100 million Americans took their money out of the subscription services, you're talking $9 billion per month, guys. That's just if 100 million Americans did it, not if the rest of the working population. I know that's a big chunk of the working population, yeah. But that's people voluntarily giving their money to things that don't serve them, to things that entertain them, to things that sedate them. And so then we spend our lives trying to get more and more and more and more, but not understanding that because you're living that way, that makes it harder for people like my daughter, Maya Bella, who's nonverbal and autistic, who doesn't understand the concept of money, who doesn't understand the concept of capitalism, who doesn't understand the concept of race, who doesn't understand the concept of billionaires. What about her? Y'all don't think about her. I know, because we're the only country in the entire planet that has a school shooting problems. Part of your worshiping of money requires you to not care about the future, because you're getting money for the now. You got to make sure you're good today. See, through most of human history and most other countries, a lot of other countries in the world, humanity is sustained through community. But America, the United States Constitution, was explicitly written to divide, to deem one part of the population as property or inhumane and another part of the population as superior. And you guys know this. You guys know it. You guys know about slavery. You guys know about Jim Crow. You guys know about women needing to get the right to vote. You guys know about we had to get child labor laws. You guys know these things. It doesn't matter what you know. How do you live? How do you live? Do you live in such a way? No. So here we are. Here we are. It's that worship of money. It's that idea that just because somebody has the most of it, or because they have the best branding or the best cameras, that these are the people we should listen to. I'm sorry, y'all call me arrogant. I genuinely believe no, y'all should not be talking to. I'm more important than Donald Trump. I know that sounds crazy. But that's the problem. It sounds crazy. In America, it sounds crazy. Because you guys are still treating the position like it's equivalent to the person who holds the position. I'm smarter than Donald Trump. I talk better than Donald Trump. I lead better than Donald Trump. There's nothing. Him, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, none of these nepo babies, none of these guys who've lived off government assistance most of their lives, none of these guys who've committed fraud. I am better than all of them. But until I get money, until I become something you can consume, until I can become palatable, that's what it is. So your revolutionaries will become content creators. Your religious leaders, right, will become products. That's not the billionaires. That's not capitalism. I say it all the time. The algorithm is the most humble thing on planet Earth. I don't know an algorithm that forces you to stay on the video. I don't know an algorithm that forces you to like, that forces you to comment, that forces you to save, that forces you to share it with your friend. Why don't you share content like this? Or it doesn't even have to be me. It could be somebody else. I'm not the end all be all. But how much deeper do you guys need to go? I'm talking to someone who's risked everything for this. And I didn't look back. Because it was my daughter. Maya Bella Reed deserves to live in an America where she can be safe. She shouldn't have to go to school and get abused and get put in solitary confinement. I shouldn't have to release a diss track and only 1,000 people listen to it in a year. I shouldn't have to. I went to the internet and uploaded all of the eyewitnesses' accounts. You go look at it right now. Mercy for Maya YouTube page. It's been damn near 2.5 years. And we raised less than $3,000. Yes, I'm mad. I'm mad because it's so easy. It's so simple. But you've been conditioned to believe that it's hard. You've been conditioned to believe that it's something outside of yourself. Doesn't matter if they own the means of production if you don't believe production is the most important aspect of human life. Owning the means of production only means something to people who think producing is what humans are supposed to do. You're supposed to be an economic output machine. That's not how money should be used. And if we continue to use money like that, we'll continue to be enslaved and call it freedom. But we are not powerless. We can reimagine the purpose of money, not as the master of meaning, but as a tool to support human potential. The point of money should not be to concentrate power, but to circulate freedom, not to measure superiority, but to enable self-actualization. In a society rooted in universal consciousness, the question isn't how do I get more money? The question is how can money serve the most selves towards their highest self? That's the metric. That's the reimagining. That's the future. We need to build systems where money flows towards solutions, not spectacles. The wealthy are expected to fund elevation, not escapism. We reward innovation and education and encourage and not manipulation, branding, or deceit. Economic models are centered around enough, not excess. That doesn't mean we demonize money or we punish the wealthy. It means we demand that wealth serves something higher than itself. It means that we stop defining ourselves by our income and start defining ourselves by our contribution. And yes, that means we must attach moral consequences to economic power, because any system that lets billionaires hoard generational wealth while children starve is not just broken, it's unholy. But it doesn't matter because this is a Christian nation, right? Doesn't matter that Jesus literally made taking care of the poor a salvation issue. That doesn't matter. Again, Americans don't believe in anything but money. You don't believe in anything but money and yourself. And so we're here. And so the people who believe in money the most and are willing to do whatever for self, that's who gets to the top. Because that's what this society values. And you can keep criticizing the system. The system is nothing more than how everybody around you live. And you don't realize the power that your one change could do. It's in America, you're defined by your income. You're defined by your net worth. You're not defined by your contribution. I'm sorry, the Overman's Manifesto is better than the Communist Manifesto. It is. It is. Niggas been talking about the Communist Manifesto for 150 years. It ain't work. I'm telling you, this would work. But it requires people to live differently, not just be on the internet talking about it. Again, the racists believe in collective action more than the communists, more than the socialists. And you see it every single day. Money will always have a place in society, but it must be placed beneath meaning. It must serve the soul, not sell it. And the longer we worship money as the highest expression of success, the longer we delay the evolution of society and the self. It's not wrong to want to be rich. It is wrong to be rich and still empty. It's not wrong to desire more. It's wrong to exploit the many so that the few can feel like gods. And it's not wrong to have money. But if money is all you have, you are not who we need leading the future. See, because money can buy almost anything except the one thing we fear the most, not knowing. It cannot answer why we are here. It cannot tell you what happens when we die. It cannot feel that pit in your stomach when you realize that your name, your body, your entire legacy may one day vanish without a trace. Money cannot hold you through the fear. It cannot stop time. It cannot save you from death. And so we try to use it to distract ourselves from all of that, from the vast, eternal unknown that every self must face alone. In our society, we worship money and we worship those who have it. And I've been here telling people for 2 years, stop. That's your way out. Your way out is to take your money out of the systems that oppress you and give it to somebody like me because of what I'm contributing to society. Yes, give it. Yes, generosity. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. 100%. Don't make me be a salesman. Don't make people who want to make radical change become salesmen. Don't make us become content creators. You guys would force Martin Luther King to become a content creator in 2025. Y'all would force Fred Hampton to be a content creator in 2025 before you pay attention to him. That ain't got shit to do with capitalism. They ain't got shit to do with the billionaires. That has to do with who you and every single individual are. You guys can talk about the problem. Oh, we know this system and we know propaganda and we know racism. Okay, but can you beat it? Can you live differently? Because the people of the past did. How do you think you got your rights? They stood up to the system. They weren't just scrolling up, complaining about it, commenting about it. They showed up. When people stepped up and said, follow me, they followed. But in this egocentric society, you guys would never follow King, bro. You guys would never get behind King. You would never get behind Fred Hampton, man. Your ego wouldn't allow it. You would find there'd be hit pieces on YouTube. Somebody would be on YouTube talking about Fred Hampton is toxic with an AI generated thumbnail. The truth about Martin Luther King. That would be them in 2025. That's America. You get to the top by tearing other people down. So every piece of content, damn near every piece of content you consume is taking somebody else down. How many people are out there contributing? How many people are out there giving? Most of you are being entertained by other people's demises. You don't reward the givers. You force the givers, the contributors, to become salesmen, to sell you NordVPN or ground news. So you don't get revolutionaries, you get content creators. That's got nothing to do with capitalism. That it has everything to do with your spiritual outlook on money. That has everything to do with your inability to stand up for yourself. It has everything to do with your lack of faith. That's what it has to do with. Let's close out here. This is the crisis of the wealthy. And by the way, Americans, I know you like to compare yourself to the billionaires so you can feel like not responsible, but this is the richest country in the world. So when I talk about the wealthy, I'm not talking about just the billionaires. I'm talking about everybody in American society. We're the wealthiest country in the world. You don't get to just take yourself out of that because you make less than that person. Because that's what we do in America. That's what we do. That's why I don't like leftism, Marxism, because it takes themselves away. They critique American society like they're better than it. No, you're a part of this shit, bro. You're a part of the reason we're in this shit. That's the crisis of the wealthy. They do not suffer materially. They suffer existentially. And instead of addressing that crisis, they mask it with accumulation. They try to use money to control what cannot be controlled, to buy loyalty, to manufacture purpose, to drown out the dread. But money cannot solve a consciousness problem. It cannot satisfy the soul. It is simply too small for the size of the question we are asking. And that is where inequality becomes not just immoral, but absurd. Because in order for someone to be worth $400 billion, we must pretend that they are nearly 7 million more times valuable than the average American. That's not math. That's madness. Not even the most brilliant overmen can contribute 7 million times more to society than someone else. That's not a measure of value. That's a distortion of meaning, a manipulation of metrics, a way to avoid the terrifying truth that no matter how rich you are, you still don't know why you're here. That's the real debt the rich carry. They are bankrupt in meaning, and their wealth is often an interest payment on a spiritual poverty they refuse to confront. The unknown cannot be bought, bargained with, or bribed. It cannot be silenced by yachts or softened by stock portfolios. It does not care about your net worth, and the more we try to solve our spiritual questions with material solutions, the more fragmented we become, the more disconnected, the more hollow. That's why this book demands that we separate wealth from worth. Because the most valuable human being may have nothing but the deepest relationship to the unknown. And the most dangerous human being may have everything, but no clue what any of it means. Until money is placed beneath meaning, it will keep trying to compete with God, and it will keep losing. American life feels meaningless right now for most people. They don't see the point going to school. They don't see the point in going to work. They don't see the point in getting a relationship. And quite frankly, they're right. It's why my first video I did a couple days was on nihilism. Because nihilism makes sense right now. It's not a problem. Nihilism is not a problem in the United States of America right now. It makes rational sense to be nihilistic about the United States of America right now. Makes perfect sense. Because our society has been stripped of meaning. And everything's about the bag. It's about getting to the bag. It's about getting to the bag. It's about getting to the bag. And you've structured your whole life off of accumulating more and more. Yeah, maybe you'll never get to the yachts. Maybe you'll never get to the whatever. But man, if you could get that bigger house, or if you could get that nicer, that 2025 car, or if you could get that certain position, you don't know how to be content with where you are right now. And so one day you'll get what you want. And you'll figure out that it means nothing. Or you won't get what you want, and you burn yourself out trying to get something that wasn't worth it in the first place. America's going through a spiritual crisis right now. As I said, I can give you guys a low-cost, foolproof plan. The fuck am I going to do with $1.2 billion, huh? And if I was going to do something crazy with it, it's literally $1. Just cancel your donation, subscription. There's no downside. But Americans need to be sold a dream. So we got to go back to the lab. We got to figure out branding, which is just manipulation. It's just ego. Got to go back, figure out branding so I can get y'all to think that it's cooler than it is. Got to go back and figure out marketing, which is just mental, just manipulation. What are the right words to prey upon your fears and I get it. I get it. That's American society. It's void of meaning. It's void of humanity. It's void of purpose. And because of that, our children can't go to school safely. People like Maya Bella Reed who don't give a fuck about money, don't give a fuck about capitalism. They won't be safe. They'll be treated like non-human objects. Because the justice system requires them to pay to get into court. Even though their father or mother is more than intelligent enough to navigate the legal system. So, it's one of these things where people keep trying to blame capitalism. Capitalism does not live outside of you. It does not live outside of humanity. I could get rid of every billionaire, every corporation right now. It will just create a vacuum and somebody else will take their place. You could end it now. It's not even about giving me the money. It's literally just about living differently. But because the human beings in America are so divorced from spirituality, because they're so divorced and so married to materialism, you niggas got to be walked through how to do things. You don't know how to listen to your gut anymore. You don't know how to trust your intuition. You're always second guessing. You're always questioning. You know that something's wrong, but you don't live on that. You don't go by that. You ignore it, you suppress it, and the next day you go contribute to capitalism. So I'm already on a watch list. I've already been deemed a terrorist by attorneys who work for the Department of Homeland Security. And I know that radical black leaders don't make it to the end of their life in the United States of America. And I also accept that this country is going to have to suffer a lot more before you guys get your heads out of your ass. Which is not good news for me. But I make these videos every day because I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that Maya Bella Reed deserves to be able to exist without getting abused. And quite frankly, I make these videos for the next generation. I've kind of given up on this generation, if I'm honest with myself. You go 2 years trying to raise money for your nonverbal autistic daughter and get less than $3,000. You go around begging the internet for $1 every day and tell me the problem is the billionaires. Tell me that the problem is capitalism. You think it's capitalism because you're not in the field. You're not doing the work. So it's one of these things where to me the solutions are simple. We just need to start living differently. And we're the only group of people on planet Earth with this problem. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. And Americans are so egotistical. They think, oh, we just vote this away in 2026. Oh, we can vote this away in 2028. These niggas are working on a 100-year campaign of Trumpism. They've already rigged elections. What are you thinking? You need to let go of your worship of money. You let go of your worship of money, I promise a lot more of this stuff will start to make sense. It'll make sense why a lot of the things that we do is absurd. Doesn't just not make sense, it's absurd. American life is absurd. So hopefully this resonated with you guys. I know this a little bit more. I know some people might not like it. And so, who are you to talk like this? And da-da-da. I get it. Whatever. I get it. But I'm not going to change the faith that I have in myself. I'm not going to change the faith of who I know that I've built myself into be. And I don't care. I'm just better than everybody that y'all have leading something right now. Every man in position of power, I'm better than. America has never ran at its best because America has always sought to oppress people just on arbitrary reasons like skin color or gender. So no, you don't know who the best of the best is. You've never had a fair system. So yeah, I am going to say I'm better than them. I am going to say Elon Musk couldn't argue his way to the United States Supreme Court without a lawyer. Who's writing a manifesto? Show me him. Show me your great politician who has a actual thought and a vision for the future, who's not just trying to get votes, say nice things to try to get votes. I'm better than them, and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because what's holding me back is not the billionaires. What's holding me back are the people. If I was a racist white woman calling an autistic person the N-word, I would get damn near $1 million in a week. But because I am a father trying to stand up for his nonverbal autistic child, I got less than $3,000. I got my kids taken away from me. I went through financial abuse from my ex, emotional abuse from my ex. That's a whole nother topic for another time. But yeah, guys, hopefully you got something out of it. Tomorrow, I'll try to come back a little bit more positive, a little bit more inspirational. But that's just where things are today. I'm human, right? I'm not running as a politician. I'm a human. And some days, you niggas really piss me off because the solution is very simple and we cannot get shit done. Not because of the billionaires, but because you won't look in the mirror and go, okay, it is my time to step up. And no, I can't do what he does or I don't want to do, but I believe in that vision. And I believe that we need to build a better America. And I support that. Even if I can't give, I'll share the message every day. And I'll show up every day. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't. But nobody's guaranteed a happy ending in this. Rome fell. All the great empires fell. And you guys are not living like we could fall, like, categorically. So, love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.